last night.
Not really.
FSU.
All right, we're now joined by David Till, Richmond Times-Dispatch. David was on with us when Virginia Tech had their coaching change, and he said, hey, make sure you get back with me, in fact, when they replace it. So, David, what's been the reaction from Hokies fans on their new hire?
Well, I think the more they learn about Brent Prys' Hokies roots and his time in Blacksburg as a graduate assistant, his time just up the road at Lexington, Virginia High School, where he was a standout quarterback and defensive back, and his father was the offensive coordinator at VMI. And the more they learn about how effectively he recruited Virginia for Penn State, the more they like.
He was off the radar for most of the country, and I think that's probably, especially given what we see here with Mack Rhoades at Baylor, he's made 2 football coaching hires. Both of them came kind of out of the blue. Is that how Whit Babcock likes to operate? Is, look, you might say Jamie Chadwell or Tom Herman or anybody else could be a fit for this job, but he's got his own list, and he's operating in the shadows on it.
Well, in this particular case, he did, much like he did with his first basketball hire at Virginia Tech. No one saw Buzz Williams coming to Blacksburg from Marquette, but he did. Now, with the Justin Fuente hire, he was on everybody's initial, all the media thought when Frank Beamer retired, okay, Justin Fuente's killing it at Memphis with Paxton Lynch. He's ready to move up to the Power 5. So we'll mention him, and he turned out to be the choice. But this is certainly the second Virginia Tech hire that Whit Babcock has made that has been under the radar. And when he was at Cincinnati, no one saw him getting Tommy Tuberville from Texas Tech. Now, that hire didn't work out very well, but it was certainly under the radar.
So what has been some of the response that you've been able to gather? How much has he been able to already kind of, ingratiate himself and the players talked much about it? What kind of you gathered on the program front?
Well, he didn't arrive in Blacksburg until this afternoon. So we're very much in the infancy. I don't even know if he has met with the team as of yet. His introductory press conference is at 9 a.m. tomorrow, so we'll learn more specifics then.
Let me ask you this, David. You've seen the story with Lincoln Riley leaving, and then all of a sudden a bunch of players from Oklahoma, they entered the transfer portal. Some of them probably will end up at USC, losing commitments and whatever else. I really haven't seen much when it comes to Virginia Tech. Have they lost anybody to the portal, and have they also been hurt yet with anybody decommitting?
No decommitments that we know of, and they had one hit the portal today, backup quarterback Knox Kadum, certainly not a marquee name, but he knew that his future was going to be as a reserve at Virginia Tech, and I believe he would have hit the portal had there not been a coaching transition. So nothing yet, but you never know. It's very early. And the portal sometimes really picks up after spring ball. So there's never really a downtime with player upheaval.
For Virginia Tech, and I mean this could go for any team in the ACC right now. I know Clemson is 9-3, and that's not necessarily a cause to throw dirt on them because their reign is over. But the ACC is fairly wide open right now. So how big was it to get a coach that they knew could hit the ground running and own their recruiting territory right away? Because it could be a year or two before you're contending again for the Big 12 title or the ACC title.
Well, Virginia Tech should contend for the ACC title in most seasons, guys. You look at the Coastal Division. Virginia Tech and Miami are the two primary football-minded institutions. You can talk about North Carolina and Mack Brown and all the recruiting he's done. Tar Heels were 6-6 this season, just like Virginia Tech. Tar Heels haven't won the ACC since 1981. That's a long time. Virginia Tech won it 4 times in its first 7 seasons in the league. Miami is in complete disarray, and some would argue has been for decades. The Hurricanes haven't won an ACC championship. Remember when they joined the league in 2004? Oh, it's going to be Miami and Florida State every year in the ACC championship game. Miami's been to one ACC championship game. I would argue that Virginia Tech is the best coaching job in the Coastal Division.
It certainly feels like people have kind of forgotten over the last couple of years of just what a good job that is for whatever reason. But in terms of coming in and getting to work, and there's going to be a lot of press conferences and meeting the players and doing all that. He's a defensive guy, so that's a sign right there of the direction they want to go. But what is at the top of the list, in your opinion, as far as Virginia Tech and moving forward, and the kind of immediate things or the biggest to-dos on the list for Brent Pry?
Well, flip the script. He's a defensive guy. What's he going to do on the offensive side? What's he going to do with his offensive coordinator and the rest of that staff? I think that's what we're all waiting to see. And that will go a long way toward telling us what this team will look like in the fall and in seasons beyond.
David, you've been doing this for a while, and you've seen the landscape of college football from really, if you want to, back in the days of the transfer portal first erupted and then the early signing period. But have you seen anything with what even the last 48 to 72 hours have been like? The blue bloods that have openings and then blue bloods have openings again because they go to other blue bloods. Or just this mass amount of, it seems like, every day there's a knockout punch with some sort of story. Well, as a guy that's been around like I have for a while, your thoughts about what we're watching?
Never seen anything like it, and it's enough to give you whiplash.
Yeah, that's
it's true. Your neck is turned one way, and then you refresh Twitter, and it's like, oh wait, what? Lincoln Riley's going where? Brian Kelly's going where? And the sum total of it is you have 6 past national champions that have changed coaches in this cycle. Florida and LSU and Washington and Notre Dame and Oklahoma and Southern California. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are arguably 7 of the top 15 jobs in the country turning over in the same offseason. It's patently insane.
Thank you, David. Appreciate your time. I appreciate you've been on with us on many things. Coastal Carolina, obviously, with Virginia Tech when the opening hit, and now this one as well, now that they have Coach Pry. Pry, excuse me. Thanks for your time. And we'll hopefully be able to talk about like X's and O's in games here pretty soon. Thank you, buddy.
Yep, thank you.
David Teal, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Been a good dude. I've enjoyed... and we went over that nice subscriber number of 15,000 and all that. But I'll tell you this, what really has been a lot of fun is we've had writers on forever. But we have now been able to, because of the growth of this show, because of the fan base, you, the listeners, and where you're from, have been able to get in touch with some great people who understand their particular programs they cover.
Yeah, and not just it. Not to say that this is what we did, but, like some just have somebody on to have somebody on, just to simply kill time. Just to, hey, here's a segment. This is how we'll get through this hour. And no, I think with a lot of these analysts that we've had on, because we've been able to take more of a concerted focus on college football, even though we'll dabble in some other stuff, it's been very enlightening to actually like sit and listen and hear and, really get into the depths of program. And I don't know, I didn't really like my questions in that interview, quite honestly, because it is so soon for Pry to be announced to even kind of have a makeup, of what he wants to do so far. But I mean, I just don't really know what else to ask other than he's there and he's a defensive guy and he's got a great track record going back a long ways with Penn State, obviously, over these last several years, and James Franklin, and he's got Vatech ties. I like the Hokies program. I always loved watching them growing up with Beamer. Always loved, just the atmosphere and just there was just something that was a little different about them versus a lot of the other, big premier programs. They were a premier program, but not accepted all the way like a Miami or a Florida State. They were like that one level right below that. And I always appreciated that about them because they were kind of, a team that could upset the apple cart on occasion. And plus, Michael Vick, and they were just so fun to watch. Man, I'm rooting for the Hokies to matter and to matter in a big way in the ACC. It really